All right, it's another edition of the On the Mic podcast with my MMAnews.com. I am Mike Pendleton, and I would say he's Mr. Knockout, but they already called him that on the broadcast this past weekend. So if there's any prospect list throughout the UFC, this man should be at the top of that list. Extended his win streak to 6 this past weekend with another vicious knockout, and as I just told him, someone I've been wanting to talk to for a while. Adrian Yanez, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing really, really good, man. I'm excited. I just came off a really good victory. Pretty good performance, man. If you ask me, man, I'm really happy, man. This is a really big notch on my belt.
It really is, and for me, man, I would absolutely have to agree with you. But I almost like your performance more because it happened later in the fight. I mean, we see what you can do early on, but as someone who's a veteran, I mean, you have 16, pro fights on your record here. You've been fighting for years. Like, okay, yeah, I can get it done early, but you also know there's a lot more credibility being added to your name when people see you doing that in the 3rd round, eventually 5th round. You've been through those deep waters.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a big reason why I really love my performance. Just because, man, I know how tough Gustavo is, man. I know how tough of a fighter he is. He's been in there with some really great guys. He was a champion outside the organization at Combate Americas, and the guys that he's fought in there, man, they're tough. Man, like one guy who I give him credit for beating is that guy Jose Aldo. He got dropped in that. He lost the first one, but then got the knockout in the second. So in the first fight, he got dropped, got back up, and kept fighting. I personally thought he won that fight. If you go back to that fight, I personally thought he won, even though he got dropped in that fight. He got back up and kept fighting, which gives you that mentality, which gives you the basis of who he is. Like he's not a quitter. He's gonna go in and try to win that fight at all costs. And just to be able to put on a performance against that guy and do it in the 3rd round, that to me was like really, really big. Against a really, really tough guy, man. So, but I've also had tougher fights. I know in pre-fight interviews, he was saying who I fought. I kind of want to be like, well, man, you're kind of not giving credit to any of the guys who I fought before. You didn't give credit to Brady, not giving credit to a tough guy in Kyle Estrada, because Kyle Estrada was one of my toughest fights, man. He went out there, chewed my leg up in LFA. I think it was LFA 78 when they first got onto UFC Fight Pass, man. You can go on UFC Fight Pass and just look how much of just look at that fight, man. You can see, man, these last 3 fights, are a cake compared to what me and him went through. So, all around, I'm just happy, man. It was a really great performance.
I know. I was like, man, I'm hyping you up. You're over here hyping your opponents up like that. But, I think that speaks to the level of respect you have in the cage, and something, I want to talk to you about in a minute. It's kind of your backstory. But why is it so important because I'm going to ask you about your division, but you are in a division where the loudest mouths get fed. But you don't seem like you have to run your mouth, get in people's faces, do all the showboating theatrics. Why is keeping that martial arts respect important to you?
Man, it's not even just the martial arts aspect being important to me. It's just who I am.
Right.
Well, martial arts is a big part of my life, and it is it did help me grow up, and it did help me form into the person I am today. So yeah, they do go hand in hand, but it's just who I am, man. Like if you do something good, I'm gonna give you credit for it. If you do something stupid, I'm gonna give you credit for you doing that stupid thing too. And also, man, like anybody who steps in that cage, man, deserves all the respect in the world that, because they're going in there trying to entertain you, like everybody, they're trying to entertain me, you, everybody, like everybody who turns on the TV and turns on the ESPN, they deserve all the respect, because they don't have to be doing that. If all the fighters just one day were just like, yeah, we're not fighting anymore, man. Dude, you'd see a lot of people crying. You see a lot of people crying and bitching about why there's no fights or anything like that. Hey, so to me, man, all the respect in the world to anybody who steps in the cage and just entertains people for a living. So to me, it's just the respect factor. And like I said, man, I got to give credit to people who deserve the credit. And so to me, it's nothing but respect. And also, man, I don't need to talk, man. I don't have to talk. If like let's just say like if I get a fight and the guy talks mess, I'm gonna talk a little bit mess back. I don't like I'm not gonna go out of my character and just start bashing the guy outside of it. No, it's like if you want to keep this respectful, I'm gonna keep it respectful. If you start talking mess, I'm gonna give you a little bit of mess and just wait till we close that cage door, because then you're stuck in there with me. Can't really talk anymore until after I knock you out. You can say whatever you want until like after I knock you out. You still keep talking mess, but to me, I'm gonna have the satisfaction of me knocking you out. So I'll never have to say anything again. Just got to post the knockout every single time. So it's not out of like it's just one of those things, man. I really don't like to talk mess. Either way, man. All like we got the whole bantamweight division. Like if you look at the top 15, man, all killers, man. I want to be a part of that. And the really good thing about my performance against Gustavo is that he's already fought a top 15 guy on, actually, I thought it was 6 days notice. It was actually less than that. So I think it was like 2 or 3 that he said, like a 2 or 3 day notice. And he fought Marab, who's in the top 15. And Rob didn't finish him, but I went out there and finished him on a full training camp. So that, to me, that speaks volumes, man. That means that I deserve to be up there. So I just let my fights do the talking and let the facts speak for himself,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love that mindset you have. We've both mentioned the bantamweight division. You said top 15 full of killers. Really think if you reach past the top 15, probably top 20, even top 25 is a handful of killers, yourself included. I think we will see a number next year named sooner than later. But when you see the names at the top of that list, maybe outside of Rob Font, I think you are coming in like, I don't know if you're a basketball or football fan or anything, but like this year in football, we have so many quarterbacks coming into the NFL draft, and people are like, wow, this is a loaded class of quarterbacks. It's like you got into the UFC with such a loaded class of bantamweights, and there's star guys all the way at the top. But it's the young ones that are turning the heads, the Sterlings, Peter Yan when he got the belt, Corey Sandhagen, Rob Font, so many young guys. And it's not just the names we've heard for the last 15 years. Like, how excited does that make you to be like, I'm here with the new wave?
Oh yeah, man. Like it means a lot to me, because at the same time, it's like, it's one of those things that you can go back in history. This is the big thing. Like in history, there's never been, like in the bantamweight division, this amount of fresh new faces that are all killers. So it's like back in the middleweight division, middleweight division, back in boxing. You had Hagler, Hearns, Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard. You have all those killers, and they would go at it. And at that time, that's never like the best were fighting the best. And right now, that's what it is for the bantamweight division. Like we have a whole bunch of killers, myself included, that are fresh new faces, and we're all gonna have to fight each other. There's no running around not being able to get a fight. You're gonna have to fight all those guys, and you're gonna see the leader of the pack start taking off a little bit. Even just right now, even just with like Peter Yan, man, like you can take a look at that, like that fight against all these other guys. You can't really see, like, you can't really be like, well, 80%, he's gonna win this fight. Nah, it's usually like it's gonna be like a 60-40, maybe 50-50 a lot of the time. So it's the perfect timing, especially for me coming in. This is me personally. I didn't want to come back. I didn't want to come into the UFC, and then all of a sudden, like I look at a list, and it's like no disrespect to the 25 division, but it's not a deep division. What's another, like, man, most of these divisions, they're not that, like, they're not as deep as the 135. You can look at the 205 division. You can probably look at a little bit of, like, couple people and look, and you're like, it's not that deep. You can get in the top 15 pretty easily. In the bantamweight division, it's going to be really hard to break into that top 15. But that's what excites me, is like the level, the levels, the toughness. Right now we're in Mortal Kombat. We're playing it on extremely hard. So that to me is what makes it like exciting, because man, this will get to, like, if I go out there these next couple fights and I have someone that's with the number next to their name and I start them, dude, that just proves to me that I belong to be in that top 15, that I should be fighting for a belt. So, each fight, I want to progressively get better and progressively like make it look easier. That's the biggest thing to me, is to make it look easier every single time I go in there. And I want to be the leader of the pack, man. So it's the best, it's like, it's the best time to do this, man. So to me, it just excites me, man. It just really, really excites me.
Well, I could definitely tell, man. I mean, even the one weight class right above, it's hard. Like, we just had the unfortunate news with the featherweight title fight this weekend, but it's like everyone knows this. I feel like the people I've talked to, and like even the fans I hear, they're like, all right, well, let's get this title fight over with, because we want to see Max Holloway again. And it's like, you wouldn't be able to find many divisions where the former champion has lost 2 title fights and everyone can't wait for the third. Like, it's so, but that's how, one, that's a credit to Max, and 2, that's a kind of a knock on the featherweight division. Like, no one's separating themselves from the pack. And I think for you, my question is, as you say, like, you want every fight to get easier and easier. That, I just take it as, let's say it's 2, 3, 4 more wins. There's no denying you a title shot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That, like, it's one of those things that I would, in my world, hypothetically, going in there, 2, 3 fights, going in there, I'm knocking everybody out, but making it look easy. Of course, title shot. But also, like, we do live in reality, and I do know that how long it took Tony Ferguson to get his title shot. I do know how long it took Stipe Miocic to get his title shot, Max Holloway to get his title shot. Man, look at all these guys that took a while for them to get their title shot. Look at Aljamain Sterling, how long he had to be in the game before he got his title shot, man. Dustin Poirier before he got his title shot, man. So I know how hard it's gonna be. In reality, like, there's 2 realities. Either you get the Conor McGregor shine, like, right there, like, oh yeah, everybody wants to see him fight for the shot right now, or you get the slow, long road that you have to, like, fight tooth and nail to get to that position. And I'm okay with either one. Like, I'm telling everybody, I don't mind it. I don't mind taking the long road. I don't mind climbing up that ladder a step at a time, instead of jumping up 2 or 3 steps and just like jumping over people. Like, I don't mind either one. I'm looking forward to the long road one, just because I know it's going to be a lot more satisfying whenever I get the belt. To me, that's going to be the biggest thing. Like, I take the long road and I go out there and I get the belt. It's going to be a lot more satisfaction behind it, because the hard work it took. I know how hard it took for me to get in the position I am today. I know how hard that worked. I just know it's going to take a lot more hard work. So I'm ready for it, man. I'm one of those guys that's not going to stop working just because you tell me, like, hey, I got a ranked number 70 guy and I got to fight him. It's like, nah, man, I know what type of work I need to do to get to the number 1 spot.
This might be music to the UFC's ears. You're like, I'm going to get every fight, I'm going to make it easier than the last, and I'm ready for the long haul. They're like, damn, let's give him a 15-fight contract right now. But I mean, just like, I love to hear that there's no shortcuts for you. And, I think you've kind of talked about that ad nauseum throughout your career. You never look for the easy way out. But since we have been mentioning and talking about the division a lot, what do you make of what happened in the last title fight with Jan and Sterling? Did you agree with, I know a lot of people didn't like what happened with Aljo afterwards, but like, he did everything he had to do, and it's not his fault. That's my opinion. But what do you make of how that title fight played out?
Man, Jan was on his way to winning that belt. In my opinion, Jan was on his way to win the belt. He didn't need that knee at all. But with that being said, like in every other sport, man, if you get disqualified, the other person wins. Like, no matter what position, no matter what. Like, even in wrestling tournaments, the wrestler who commits the foul gets disqualified. Jiu-jitsu tournaments, the person who commits the foul gets disqualified. And doesn't matter where you're at on the card, doesn't matter where you're at in the it doesn't matter where you're at in the tournament bracket, or if y'all are fighting for the number 1 spot. If you get disqualified, that person who the person who got the foul committed on wins that first place medal, wins that second place medal, or wherever you're at. And I believe it's no different here. You know, I don't think we should treat MMA like MMA. If we're gonna treat MMA like a sport all around, that's exactly how it should go. Like, it shouldn't just automatically be vacated and everything. You know, because then you create a whole bunch of other problems. Or, well, who's this belt? Like, who's the champion here? It's like, no. To me, I felt like it was the right decision for Aljamain to get that belt. You know, the foul was committed against him. You know, he couldn't. Honestly, that type of a knee to the face, man, like, it landed flush, man. Like, and especially when you're not expecting it, man. Especially when you're not expecting it. The dude was on his, like, we're in the rules meeting. They went over it extensively with me this last fight. But yeah, like, it's pretty obvious that, like, whenever you have 3 points of contact on the ground, for sure contact on the ground, they give you explanations, like, knee on the ground, you're a downed opponent. It's like, yeah, like, knee on the ground, you're a downed opponent. If you have your palms flat on the ground and you have 2 feet, if you're planted on 2 feet and you have your palm planted on the ground, you're a downed opponent. A fist on the ground, you're a downed opponent. Fingertips on the ground, you're considered standing. But palm on the ground, downed opponent. Just that they were like, look, you got to get very careful that this doesn't turn into this. The fingers don't turn to a palm. And they went over that extensively. But one thing that they didn't have to go over extensively is, knee on the ground. Knee on the ground, you're a downed opponent. So Aljamain's knee was on the ground. If that foul was committed, really intentional. I think even the corner called for him to throw the knee. So, man, I feel like everything was done right in this situation. You know, no, it was committed intentional, man. I think everything was done right. Aljamain got caught with the knee that he wasn't expecting at all, and it's the ones that you don't see and you get caught with that hurt way more.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, thank you for giving me all the commission rules. So now I got that. But I know, like, for me, you know, it was two trains of thought for me. They're gonna run it back, and then dealing with everyone when you're out and about watching fights, you know, at a bar or whatever. Because obviously I'm not no fans, so you got to deal with people who don't follow the sport. You know what I mean? And me that does this stuff, and I'm grabbing people now because I'm getting offended because I had the utmost respect for all of you that step inside the cage, and then I am smaller than you, and I'm telling people, if we go outside right now and I hit you with that same exact knee and you're in the same position, you're not waking up as fast as he did. I don't want to hear you call him an actor, saying he should get an Academy Award. Like, did that kind of irritate you to see, like, people who have never done it say stuff like that?
Oh, it irritated me when people who actually do the sport were saying it. Oh my God, I was irritated, man. I had to put my phone down because, dude,
right.
It's just to me, it's just like, man, like, how do you know? You're not in his position. Like, yeah, you can go out there and speculate all this stuff, man, but at the same time, you weren't in that position. But you know how it feels like to the fighters who've been knocked out. And they're talking mess about Aljo. It's like, dude, you know how it feels to get, like, knee to the face and, like, not see it coming. You know how it feels. Like, sometimes, like when Ben Askren got kneed in the face by Mazadov, man, I was telling people around me, he's like, dude, he's probably not gonna remember, not even walking out. He's probably gonna remember, like, the only thing he's probably gonna remember is just waking up in the hospital. He might be there, but he's not there.
Right.
If that makes sense. I was like, so to me, man, I take that very seriously, man. I take it very, very seriously because, man, it's a man's health. It's like, and people want to sit there and talk mess and be like, oh, he's faking, you give him Academy Award. No, man, dude, the dude got kneed in the face. Like, this isn't wrestling. This isn't like you, like, oh, like he gets hit with the old, like, ow. Right. So it's like, to me, I don't know, man. There's a lot of people that were talking shit about that, and I'm just like, dude, just shut up, man. Right. In this position, and then the other people who just casually just watch the sport were chiming in, being like, man, like, or people who have never stepped foot in a cage, like, even as an amateur, man, like, a lot of people are saying, oh, he's faking, he's an actor, and I'm like, no, dude, like, I don't even give those people, like, any time of day, man. So, like, I didn't give any of those people the time of day because dude, they don't deserve it. They don't deserve like any type of acknowledgement. It's the fighters and the people that were saying that like people who I know have fought. Like even fighters in the UFC going out there in the UFC out there saying Aljamain was acting and all that stuff. It's like, yeah, no, just dude, just shut up.
Right,
Just shut up. You should know. You should know. But
yeah, exactly. Well, I think it was the only reason I'm bringing it up. Not only it's your division, I think it's the first time we've seen such an egregious foul committed, and then everyone was mad at the person who took the foul. You know, like when Stipe and DC fought, people were like, "Oh my God, we hope Stipe's eye's okay." When Frankie Edgar, no foul committed, but when Frankie Edgar got knocked out by Sandhagen, everyone's like, "Oh my God, I hope Frankie's okay." And then you hear like the scary details of him being like, "Yeah, we went to the locker room and I asked when I'm fighting next, and coach was like, you just fought." And then he's like 30 minutes later, you know, I started, you know, getting my memory back. But just a couple more here for you, Adrian. Now, coming off this big win, obviously, you know, things are going very well to start off your UFC career. And you mentioned after the fight, UFC 262, Houston, like that's what you want, man. Why is that? And I know one of my things, and I'm not just saying this because you're on camera. I've been saying this since, you know, Contender, really. One of the things is it is something that you carry with you. It is something you wear with you every single day, which is your career. It's not just something, it's not a sport. You know, it is a life choice for you. Why is it so important to fight at home, to fight, you know, in Houston?
man, I fought almost all of my career here in Houston. You know, I feel like it's a big staple of who I am and how I was raised, man. I was either fighting for a Fury Fighting Championship or a Legacy Fighting Championship or LFA. So, and I was in almost all of them were here in Houston, and like just to kind of like just for it to all kind of circle back and just for me to fight in Houston, that I think that would be like the biggest and best part for me. Another thing is every single time I was driving to the gym, we would take this exit and you would see it straight shot. You'd see the Toyota Center. That was like the first thing, and it was almost kind of symbolic too, because when my dad would be driving me, like it was just like it literally looked like it was like the freeway was directed to the Toyota Center, to Houston, that the Toyota Center where the UFC fights. So I was like, this is like it's kind of symbolic, you know, to me. So I want to get that fight there, and I'd be telling my dad like one day I want to fight there, like I'm gonna fight there. My dad would be telling me is like man, if you stay consistent and you keep like it's all about a matter of time. If you stay consistent, you're gonna be there. I believe in you, and it stuck with me, and I really want to fight there, man. I think it would literally cap my 2021 without 2021 being halfway over with, man. So it'd be amazing for me. I really want that. Don't matter who it is. I just need that. I just need that May 15th card. I need to go in there and knock somebody out and get another 50.
I was like, he knows I'm about to ask him who he wants to fight. You don't have anybody in mind? You don't care?
I don't care, but I know Nate Maness called me out. He called me out back in November, and then whenever I called him out just recently, like to be like, hey, I oblige. You know, he on Twitter, he said he added me and he said I accept. I remember seeing that. I even quoted it and just told Dana White, just texted Dana White, Sean Shelby, and my management team, saying, look, I even got an opponent for May 15th. We're good to throw leather. Next thing you know, the tweet's gone. So I'm like, all right. So he did a good old tweet and delete. So whatever. So it doesn't matter if it's him anymore. So to me, I'm good, man. Yeah, I think that Davey Grant or whatever, or some guy, I think that would be a good fight. The one that he just had a good knockout his last fight. Last fight out. So I think that would be a good fight. If we can get that fight too, I don't mind that one either.
Well, you came in and you kind of set the cage on fire in your 3 performances, but you haven't done it with a crowd yet. So like I just feel like you said, it would cap your 2021 before it's even halfway over. Houston, Texas. Let's get some people in the stands. Let's get you a fight that gets you even closer, getting a number next to your name. Man, I think everybody would sign up for it. And I think and I hope the UFC does right by you. But the one reason when I told you I've been, you know, really looking forward to talking to you, man, is you know, just the story. You know, you captivated everyone by, you know, the story of you and your father. And You delivered on that promise. You got the contract. I also love Dana when he gave you the contract when you guys are backstage, and he's like, yeah. I'm giving you a contract. Sure, over here. Like not a lot of people see that side of Dana White. Like, you know what I mean? And I think your performance and just the way you went about it and the way that it could be so personal but professional at the same time with you, Adrian, is something I wanted to highly commend you on. And as you're just getting started, like, you delivered on one promise. You're telling me you've told them you're gonna fight there at the Toyota Center. It could line up perfectly to happen that way. Are you just gonna continue to keep delivering on these promises?
Oh, absolutely, man. I still have a couple promises that I have unfulfilled, and I gotta go out there and complete them, man. There was one that I thought at one point that I would never be able to complete, and that was before like my mindset changed. And I fought for a title for LFA, and I lost a split decision. Because I told my dad that I wanted to bring him a belt, and now that like he's not here anymore, I wanted to bring it to his gravesite. So that one took a lot out of me. That one took a really big like piece of my heart, that knowing that like in LFA I had the chance for a title shot, and I didn't. Like, I lost by slim margins, man. Slim margins. Split decision loss, man. So I at that time I didn't feel like I was able to. I didn't fulfill that promise. I thought like I didn't come through on that promise. But it's not that that I didn't complete it. It's just that the promise just got that much bigger. Like, now I can go out there and compete for the UFC bantamweight championship, man. I can go out there, man. Like, it's a reality. It's a reality now. To me back then, like, I didn't know if this was still if it was still a reality for me, and especially coming off after a loss, you don't know. Like, there's a lot of things that go through your mind. There's a lot of things that like really like kind of like poke at your brain. You're just not really there, especially coming off after a loss. You kind of like a high profile loss too, man. That was against Miles Johns. His next fight was in the Contender Series. That dropped me to I think I was 7. That dropped me to 7-3. I just wasn't there, man. I really just wasn't there. So it like really screwed me up. But man, I went on a 3-fight win streak. Got my Contender shot. Starts that guy. Got my UFC debut. Starts that guy. And coming in with Gustavo Lopez, I come in here. Coming to the UFC, my second fight in the UFC, I go out there, great performance, then starch him. So for me, like it's like one of those things. Like, I just made this a big reality that I can go out there and take that belt and still accomplish my first promise that I've made. So to me, like it's a reality, and it's like driving me. Like, I'm like, it's one of those things that like I didn't let this promise like go unfulfilled. I can still fulfill this promise. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, man. It's a big driving factor for me. And like, if I can get that Houston card, knock another one off my list, man, I'm going to keep knocking these promises off my list. And that's exactly what I want to do.
Well, Adrian, it's been a pleasure talking to you, man. I mean, I'll tell you this real quick before I let you go. Like, obviously, the pandemic changed for a lot of people. And I was living in New Jersey at the time with family, and like, my aunt's like all that UFC stuff. And my uncle's like a, football guy, basketball guy, like never would give the time of day to it. But like, we're all at the house, and nobody's got anything to watch. I need to watch it. And I started getting him into it. Then he was calling me about, Contender Series, hey, when's those Tuesday night fights? And he became a big Contender Series fan after your performance. And it was something, very, very cool for me, not only to have that time with my uncle, but for you to captivate somebody who's older and really was like, oh, I have no interest in this. I remember boxing, way back in the day. I mean, not just your story, man, but your performance. So all I can say is like, keep doing what you're doing, man. Hope we talk again. And I want to see you continue to keep delivering on those promises, man. So it personally, man, it's been great talking to you. And like I said, wish you all the best. Can't wait to see you back in there.
Okay, man. Thank you so much, man. Thank you, man. Dude. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. We'll talk soon.
Okay, man. Talk to you later, man. Thank you so much.